Since Max Verstappen's dominant run, Sergio Perez hit a rough patch at Red Bull. This year he has struggled to get to grips with the RB20. In a conversation with DAZN, Checo finally admitted to the world that he had considered hanging it up. Let's hear it straight from the man himself in today's video. Stay tuned. While Max Verstappen still leads the Drivers' Championship, Perez finds himself down in 8th place. Despite an earlier contract extension, Perez's slump continued and his position was reviewed over the summer break. In the end, Red Bull decided to stick with him. Perez admitted that during this challenging time he had moments where he thought about walking away from the sport. He revealed, "For the past 6 months I've been thinking about it, but it took me 3 seconds to decide. In the end, it would be the easy way out, and to give up after so many years, I would never have forgiven myself." Ultimately, Checo was determined to bet on himself, shutting out all the noise from the media about the disparity between him and Verstappen. He added, "I want to finish my career when I want to and not when someone tells me to. That's my main focus, reaching the point where I can decide my future." Perez is under contract for the upcoming season, with the possibility of an additional year extension from Red Bull. But he's made it clear that he doesn't plan to stay in Formula One as long as Fernando Alonso has, expressing a desire to eventually step away and spend more time with his family. "For now, I still have a contract for 2 years, and 2 years in F1 is a long time. But I know the end is getting closer." But Checo shouldn't get too comfortable in his seat, because if you ask around the paddock, they'll tell you that the Mexican is in danger of suffering the same fate as Daniel Ricciardo. Former F1 driver David Coulthard believes Sergio Perez's position with the reigning champions will come under scrutiny if his performance dips any further. Perez was poised for a podium finish in Baku before a late incident with Carlos Sainz, but he struggled in Singapore, getting knocked out in Q2 and finishing 10th. Coulthard shared his thoughts on Channel 4 prior to Ricciardo's exit from Red Bull being officially confirmed. "He did brilliantly in Baku, but one swallow doesn't make a summer. One good result is not what you expect from he's clearly the number 2 driver in that team. There was so much relief, I think, off the back of Baku. And then here it's a bit back to reality. If he doesn't keep getting some solid points in the remainder of the year, then, like Daniel Ricciardo looks like he's in the way out the door, that could be the same situation for Perez." Red Bull team principal Christian Horner revealed in Singapore that Daniel Ricciardo was the team's top choice if they had decided to replace Sergio Perez. When asked by Sky Sports F1 whether there was a contractual obligation to give Liam Lawson a seat in 2024, Horner addressed the speculation but did not confirm any such obligation, leaving Lawson's future uncertain despite his current role as Ricciardo's stand-in. "I'm not going to go into the ins and outs of driver contracts. There's privacy between the company and individuals. Liam, the job he did for us last year was very impressive. Now, we took experience over that because Daniel was our banker, if Perez was to drop the ball. Daniel has had a reasonable season, but it hasn't been a stellar year. The question is, how good is Liam, and sometimes difficult decisions have to be made in order to get those answers." Red Bull made a decisive move, realising that Ricciardo isn't at the level required to rejoin their senior team, leading to Liam Lawson being given the opportunity. The New Zealander, who revealed he was informed of the decision 2 weeks prior, confirmed that his race seat with Red Bull will cover the final 6 races of the 2024 season. During this stint, Lawson will have the chance to prove himself and potentially secure a spot alongside Yuki Tsunoda next season, while also making a case for a future promotion to the Red Bull senior team. Daniel Ricciardo's exit from Formula One has implications that go beyond the immediate future, as Red Bull now faces a longer-term driver dilemma. Liam Lawson touched on this during an interview with New Zealand's Newstalk ZB, highlighting the broader impact of Ricciardo's departure and what it means for Red Bull's future driver lineup. He said, "I've basically got until the end of this season and then I'll find out more as the season goes on. At this stage, it's the 6 races. And when asked what he needed to do in order to earn a full-time seat for next year, he said, I need to perform, basically. I need to try to obviously show my worth in F1 and I would say do a similar job to what I did last year. That's what's given me the shot now. I just need to do enough to stay in the seat next year." The broader implications of Ricciardo's departure mean that Red Bull now has an opportunity to thoroughly assess Lawson's F1 abilities alongside Tsunoda. This isn't Lawson's first experience in this role, though. Last year, he filled in for Ricciardo after the Australian suffered a broken hand in a crash just 2 races into his F1 comeback. In his 5 races, Lawson made a strong impression on Red Bull with several solid and mature performances. The standout moment came in Singapore, where he advanced to Q3 and finished ninth, earning 2 points. At that point, Red Bull had already committed to a Ricciardo-Tsunoda lineup for 2024, so even with his impressive showings, Lawson would have to wait another year on the sidelines. This puts added pressure back on Sergio Perez, who hasn't been at his best lately. Despite signing a new 2-year contract in early June, rumours about Perez's future circulated over the summer due to a noticeable dip in his performance. To address the speculation, Red Bull felt compelled to clarify that Perez would finish out the 2024 season. While the plan is for Perez to remain in his seat through 2025, there's no guarantee he'll last the entire season, or even start it given the current circumstances. In the chaos of Ricciardo's F1 farewell, Perez had a tough race, finishing in a disappointing 10th place in Singapore, while teammate Max Verstappen secured second, causing Red Bull to lose further ground to McLaren in the constructors' standings. Christian Horner called on Perez to improve his performance, saying that the team needs 2 drivers firing on all cylinders. This was a clear warning to Perez, who will now be keeping a close eye on how Lawson performs. Perez's position at Red Bull has largely been protected by the lack of strong candidates to replace him, but Lawson's arrival at the team will certainly give both him and the senior management something to consider. Ricciardo's bittersweet and somewhat awkward exit from F1 is part of a larger strategy for Red Bull. This decision highlights that he's not in the team's long-term plans, and his dream of a fairy tale return to Red Bull has turned out to be nothing more than wishful thinking. While Perez's struggles may be causing Red Bull some short-term headaches, they're also facing a dilemma regarding their driver lineup for 2026, which will align with F1's next significant regulatory changes. On paper, they'll need to fill one seat alongside Verstappen, who is under contract until the end of 2028. But then there are also ongoing discussions about the Dutchman's future. Verstappen remains the subject of speculation regarding a potential move to Mercedes, who have actively pursued him in recent months. His public standoff with the FIA in Singapore, stemming from his punishment related to an F1 swearing incident, has also raised new questions about whether he might consider retiring early. Horner acknowledged that Red Bull will face some tough decisions in the next 12 months as they evaluate the promising talents in their driver pool. He shared these insights with Sky Sports F1 during the Singapore race weekend. "We're having to look further down the road. We've got some great talent, we've got Liam Lawson. We're not quite sure, looking at the likes of Franco Colapinto and Ollie Behrman and Kimi Antonelli. Is he at that level? Only time will tell." Horner also emphasised that Red Bull isn't afraid to look beyond their current driver pool, mentioning George Russell as a possible option for 2026. These comments didn't sit well with Mercedes boss Toto Wolff. "George Russell is out of contract at the end of next year. It would be foolish not to take that into consideration," Horner said. "There are other talented drivers that could well be out of contract as well." Regardless of the outcome, it seems unlikely that Perez will receive another contract extension beyond his current deal. As a result, Red Bull will likely be in the market for at least one new driver. So, do you see Sergio Perez rising to the occasion, or will he fall short as he has been doing recently? Tell us your prediction in the comments section down below. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.